Welcome everyone to the first installment of Rampant Gaming Reviews. In this episode, I plan on getting a little bit messy as we hop into looking at Nintendo's newest IP, Splatoon. Alright, I'm gonna be honest here. This shooter looks like it has everything that anyone that plays shooters would want, but yeah, don't let looks surprise you there. It's not as perfect as Nintendo thought it would turn out to be, but it's not horrible either. So, yeah, let's dive into this and let's see what we got. As you can see here, you got very solid gameplay mechanics. I mean, from the shooting mechanics all the way down to the surprise factor that you have from changing between Squid to Inkling, this game's definitely amazing. The only thing that I foresee a big problem gameplay side of things is the motion controls. Honestly, I feel like this is something that really shouldn't be needed. It's a neat feature in the sense of it's something new, but it's really not useful in a shooter scenario. I mean, yeah, pointing the gamepad around like you're actually shooting people with it, yeah, while that could be interesting, I feel like it's more of a hinder. I'm more of the type of just give me two sticks and let me go at it. But anyhow, you'll see the difference in these side-by-side videos with me with the gyroscope and me with the thumbsticks, and you'll see the big difference between that one. Alright, on to our whole replay factor. Now, a shooter should be played a lot. I understand that. But how it's replayable needs to be taken into account. Obviously, because it's a shooter, online multiplayer part of it should be the replayable part and should be focused hardly on it. However, I mean, while they did great, they've kept up constant updates, they've kept everything that this game needs. I feel like where it lacks is the story mode. Truthfully, Octavalley, the first time you play through it, it does feel immersive, it does feel like you're actually helping out Inkopolis, but after you beat the game the first time, there's not really much to do. I mean, yeah, the amiibos add the challenges. Yeah, you've got all the different things that you can go in to get all the pages for more weaponry, but really it all boils down to Octavalley's only there really for a tutorial and just to help unlock items. That's not really that big of a push for the story side of it. Maybe a Splatoon 2 might change that, but yeah, Splatoon's story mode I don't recommend being something that you base off of buying the game for. Alright, the graphics. What to say here? If you all have played a Nintendo game, you know what kind of quality the graphics are going to be. It's definitely stood up to the grades, and I feel like it matches how the new Mario stuff is set up, how the new Legend of Zelda stuff's set up. It's definitely got that feel. No matter what you're looking at it on, you can tell it is a Nintendo IP. That's a good thing. However, that also means that people could be like, you're using the same graphic stuff you use on everything else. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Not when it looks amazing. It's not a case of they're using a graphics engine from the GameCube and trying to make it work now. No, this is clearly Wii U tech, and it's definitely worth it. Alright, story mode. I know I've already said about how it's not really replayable, but let's get into this. It does have its key point, and that is it actually helps get the player involved in the world and help them realize that they're not just another player with a gamer tag that's out there shooting others. This actually, I call this an overgrown tutorial, but really it kind of helps give you a meaning as to why you want to keep playing the game, even though that meaning doesn't exist in the multiplayer at all. It does also help you learn things that you can utilize in the multiplayer though, so I'm not going to throw it out as it's only there to be a tutorial. If you know how to play, skip it, because that's not really it. It's there, it's got its purpose, but the tutorial part's really the bulk of it. Hopefully, a Splatoon 2 would change that, but maybe not, I don't know. Nintendo seems very happy with this being multiplayer based, so yeah. That's just my suggestion there. On to the guts and glory of this. Alright. Multiplayer. Just gonna level with you. This is the thing that Nintendo wanted Splatoon to be known for. Point blank. Now, this is gonna get broke into a couple of areas here, and if you guys realize that I missed something and or feel like I've judged this wrong here, please let me know. This is my opinions, but let me know in the comments. From the modes to the maps, it shows how a good online multiplayer should be done. Yeah, it doesn't have a voice chat. That was a needed call on their end of it. Tell me that you haven't heard things that you don't want kids hearing in the multiplayers for, say, I don't know, Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield. Should I keep going, or do you think you got it now? Okay. That's what I thought so. Yeah. That's the colorful talk is why they opted out of that, and that was smart. Now, I'm not going to touch as to why that was a smart idea. I think that's a given, and yes, I understand that it does hinder team cooperation, but you don't have to completely communicate. If you've got a good team, they know what you're doing, even if they don't know your exact motions. That's where good team play needs to come from, not from communication. Now, let's move on. I'm not going to hit all the details on the game modes, seeing as how there's several videos out there explicitly telling everything about the different game modes, especially at this point. But I'm kind of wanting to touch on their concept of how the modes, how the maps, how all of that actually gets played into the multiplayer, because this is a unique concept. Rather than them simply just saying, okay, you have everything, you have to vote, you have to do this, you have to play. They limit it to a set amount of modes, a set amount of maps, and those get rotated out periodically. I'm wanting to say that the rotation's every 2 hours, and I'm wanting to say it is one mode for ranked, one mode for regular, and 2 maps that are different for each. So that's a total of up to 4 maps. I like this because that kind of keeps you on your edge and keeps you in that mindset of, what am I going to play every time you hop in? It's not a case of, okay, everyone loves this map, that's going to be what's picked. It really doesn't matter what I do. That tends to happen in Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Halo quite frequently. The popular ones stay, the others get swept under the rug. I feel this helps keep everything up and rolling. You guys can let me know in the comments below. The other part of the multiplayer that I'm going to touch on is the training dojo. This is not really the best concept, and the reason I explain that is because it does not do what it sounds like it should do. It sounds like it would be a local multiplayer where you're going to learn all the aspects of the actual multiplayer in an offline setting. That's not it. By no means is that it. Instead, it's a balloon popping battle concept where two people go at it to pop the most balloons within a set time frame. Kills don't mean anything, inking the ground doesn't mean nothing, catching a rainmaker, traveling on a tower, none of the game mode stuff is in here. That's a problem. Yes, everyone's moving away from offline multiplayer, but they don't need to do that. That needs to stay. That's what made shooters where they're at, is having big LAN parties and having people sitting right next to each other playing the game. Not any of the servers, not any of the internet. No, it was all LAN gameplay. That's what it needs to stay as. Call me old school on that concept, but yeah, that's just what I think would have been better for that. Do I recommend the dojo mode? Not really. Is it a thing that could help people buy the game? Maybe. Alright, let's end this thing, shall we? While this game might not be known for its story, it'll definitely be remembered for its shooter aspect. The online multiplayer for this game is wonderful. Nintendo really needs to keep on top of this IP. This has the potential to be up there with Halo, to be up there with Call of Duty, Battlefield, all of them popular AAA titles. This really needs to be nurtured and just kept growing and growing and growing. I think, though, the problem that they need to overcome is the offline multiplayer and the single player. Primarily the single player, because if it's got a good story, people will overlook anything else a lot of times. Do I recommend this game to people? Yes, I'd recommend you to try it. Obviously, if you're not a big shooter fan, this game might not be for you. If you really are into a story mode with a shooter, this game might not be for you. But if you're in for the multiplayer part of it, if you want to have a little story that kind of gets you acquainted with the world, yes, go ahead and pick this game up. Otherwise, I suggest renting it or borrowing it or whatever and just try it out. See what you think about it. Because being a reviewer, I could sit here and tell you, yeah, play it. And then I could have 20 comments be like, you said to play this game and it stinks. Why'd you recommend that? Well, that's because this is all my thoughts. If you don't want to pick it up by any means, I do recommend going. I've got one over on the Gaming Sling Network that I think I'll link. It's a playthrough of the entire story mode. There's several other stuff on YouTube. Just search Splatoon. You'll find it. Trust me on that. And check it out that way. Otherwise, you've pretty much made your decision. Either before you watch this or after. So, yeah, I'm not going to sway you one way or the other. But, anyhow, this is RampantEpsilon. I just gave you my thoughts on Splatoon. Be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. check out the Rampant Gaming Reviews site. And also be sure to hit that subscribe button to be alerted every time a new review is released. I should have reviews out every Wednesday on YouTube, every Sunday on the site. The Sunday one will not have any videos, the Wednesday ones will. So that will end it for this one, and I will see you all in the next review. Later.